Hi there, I'm Rex King. Welcome back to another episode of From the Archive. And oh boy, do we got a long one today because we're talking about The Sound of Music. The Sound of Music was directed by Robert Weiss and was written by Ernest Lehman. It is also based off a popular stage musical of the same name, which is based off a German movie, which is based off a book written by the real Maria von Trapp. See why this is going to be a long one, folks? So, long story short, Maria von Trapp, the real one, decided to actually write a book about her life following a performance where her and her family were going on. And before the performance really got on, she ended up telling some stories about her life, and someone told her she should write a book about it, so she did. And then a German production company bought the rights to her story to produce a movie, and then they sold it to the stage production to make what we would now call The Sound of Music. Basically, because there's a lot of changes that they made to the story of Maria von Trapp's real life. First and foremost, there was a lot of time between her marriage to Captain von Trapp and the Nazi invasion of Austria. There was actually a couple years, in fact, but in both the stage production and in the movie, it happens almost immediately after, and that was just not the case. Furthermore, they also didn't escape Austria by going up through the mountains, because that would have landed them in Germany, which is not where they wanted to go to escape the Nazis. So, they actually ended up escaping via train. Not only that, but probably the biggest and most notable change is the addition of Rodgers and Hammerstein music, as initially the play was going to actually use traditional Austrian folk music, but then they approached Rodgers and Hammerstein for a song, and, well, they basically decided to do the entire play. And the rest is history for the most part. The play was really financially successful. Critics, not so much at first. Initially, the play was considered to be kind of schmaltzy and over the top and not really good depiction of real history. However, audiences certainly loved it because it was really financially successful, so inevitably, the film rights were bought out by 20th Century Fox. Initially, the movie was going to be directed by William Wyler, but he didn't feel a connection with the story and soon dropped out. Robert Weiss, who was waiting to make his next film, Sand Pebbles, basically had this film fall directly into his lap, and he basically decided to take on the project. And also, a key difference between the film and the play is they had to basically cut a couple songs. Basically, all the songs with Max and the Duchess were cut from the movie, and they changed one of the songs. They changed the song Ordinary Couple to the song I Must Have Done Something Right. And it's a real interesting decision, and you can clearly tell they're missing from the movie, but honestly, you don't miss them a whole lot. The movie was released on March 2nd, 1965, and oh boy, it did well at the box office. It had a budget of $8.2 million and made $286.2 million. Yeah, it was very successful. And the critics, just like the musical, didn't like the movie at first. It took them quite a long time to turn around on it, and they did, though, because the movie went on to win 5 Oscars and was even the best picture of that year. And does the film still stand the test of time? I feel like that's a stupid question, but I will try my best to answer that. So, The Sound of Music, for those of you who do not know for some reason, follows Maria von Trapp, played by Julie Andrews, who's basically a novice nun. She's not really a nun, she's a nun in training. However, she doesn't really fit in at the Abbey. As a result, they send her to become the governess of the 7 children of Captain von Trapp, played by Christopher Plummer. Upon meeting them, she quickly realizes that the children really aren't the problem, Captain Von Trapp is, as he is very cold and very distant to everyone, especially his children, as they remind him of his late wife. However, upon getting along with the children, she starts to bring more light into the house and starts to really change him for the better. All while this is going on, the Nazis in the background are making plans to invade and take over Austria. So, if you haven't seen The Sound of Music, please stop watching this video and go see it. There is no reason you shouldn't have seen this movie. There's no reason you shouldn't know the story. And there's no reason you shouldn't absolutely love this film. Because I have no complaints. Even if you don't like musicals, I feel like there's enough here that would just bring a smile to your face. There's never a moment where I wasn't fully engrossed in the story. Usually when I'm watching a 3-hour movie, which this movie very much is, I suspect the pacing will be off at some point and I will start to get a little bit bored before it inevitably picks up again. There wasn't a moment like this in this movie. I was fully engrossed in the story, and I really enjoyed the pacing, and I really enjoyed the overall feel that this film had. Yes, it's not an accurate depiction of history, but to be honest with you, I don't really need that for a movie like this. I just needed the character relations to feel right, and luckily I think the film really nails that. And I really love the character dynamics between Captain Von Trapp and Maria. How, like, I can already hear some people going like, wait, isn't this like a similar love story to My Fair Lady? No. My Fair Lady sucked because Higgins wasn't willing to change. Sound of Music shows why that was stupid. Because what works about this is the change we see in Captain Von Trapp with his interactions with Maria as the film goes on. That's where the film really nails the character dynamics and proves to be a better Best Picture winner than something like My Fair Lady would be. And to top it all off, the visuals. Oh, so they shot a lot in actual Salzburg, Austria. And I'm not kidding, if I had money, I would go to see the sights because this film makes Salzburg look beautiful. And I bet you it actually is. And I love the on-location shooting, the way they shoot all these scenes, the way they use lighting. Every scene in this film is brilliantly done. It's spectacular. I cannot love this movie enough. And the music just goes to prove my point. I mean, Julie Andrews kills it as Maria, and her voice is spectacular as always, and it's always a welcome addition to any musical. I really enjoy every inch of The Sound of Music. I do have one probably minor complaint, though, and that is, yeah, it does kind of feel like the Nazis are just kind of thrown in there, doesn't it? And that really shouldn't be the case. Like, honestly, it kind of feels like the movie could have just ended with the wedding between Maria and Captain Von Trapp, and the story that they have been telling up until that point would have been told. Instead, we have this third act roundup with the Nazis for some reason. I mean, it's necessary for the real story, and it adds tension, certainly, but it kind of comes out of left field and feels tacked on. But, honestly, it doesn't take away from my enjoyment of this film. I really enjoy this movie, as you can clearly tell. Now, mind you, that might have to do with the fact that when I was in high school, and I was in my high school's drama club, the very first musical I was a part of was, well, The Sound of Music. I played a random background Nazi. It wasn't really important. But I really enjoyed being on the stage with this particular musical, and I really enjoyed watching the movie. I highly recommend The Sound of Music. Now, should you buy it? I feel like that's an obvious question to answer again. Yes, absolutely you should buy it. I have the 45th anniversary collection, which has a lot of special features. It has everything you would need in a Blu-ray collection. Trust me, it has making ofs, it has talking about the actual Broadway, it has the differences between the Broadway and the actual stage, it has facts about the real story. It's just a fantastic Blu-ray to own, and if you don't own it, you should go out and find a copy and add it to your collection. Or any version of The Sound of Music should be in your collection. There is no reason you shouldn't own this movie. And I have a feeling you probably do already, and you're just kind of listening to me rant for no reason. I apologize for that. Anyway, that's my opinion on The Sound of Music. What do you think about it if you've seen it? Let me know in the comments below. And next time, we're going to take a look at the Song of Bernadette. See you then.